few things. I've got this way working. I've done an alternative way, and I've done a third alternative way. This is the way I'd recommend, and it means we redesign the database a little bit. This bit will work with the database as it is, but it will be slow and non-performant. And this method, the one you were struggling with, it will have a lot of problems, but I'll explain the three differences. So first thing, you'll kick yourself. The reason it was not picking up that record was as simple as the case. If I look on here, the identifier list, it had the identifier had the Fatima capitalized, and that's why it was missing when it did the match to say join. It didn't contain it because the case didn't match. So that's simple, but it's not really the answer to your design problems. So next comment is, so if we go back to here, so you can, one thing was I've removed the conditions that were on here. I wish I hadn't done that. I removed the conditions on here which were changing the data source to do the different sorting. There's a really easy way to do dynamic sorting, which I'll show you in this bit in here. But the basic design problem with this approach was, what happens when you get 3 identifiers or 4 identifiers or 5 identifiers? You're going, basically every time we got more identifiers, we would have had the problem of just one second, let's get to it here. The problem here, so rather than change the data source to do the sort, you can just actually, you don't have to do this. This is a kind of bad idea. And then in terms of the search, the problem is going to be is every time that's going to find the first one, and then the next one will find the second one. But what happens when there's a third one? We'll just have to, indefinitely keep adding these hard-coded points. But anyway, the point is we don't need to do that. So this is a sort of design problem with this approach. Without changing the database, we go and look in here. Here's an example of how to do dynamic sorting. So you go sort by, change which field, and then you say choose it from the drop-down. So if the drop-down says sort by created date, then this will dynamically change the sort field, which is a much tidier way than changing the data source. But that's not really the biggest problem here. Then one way we could make it work, but it will have lots of problems, is using this advanced search and then basically doing this intersect. And we're saying when the identifier list on the user intersects with the identifier list on the record, then we've got a match. But the problem with that is that this advanced filtering is happening in the browser. So if we had 10,000 records, basically these 10,000 records would be delivered to the browser, and we don't want that. We want nice simple searches we want to design our database so we can have really nice simple searches, and this is what this one's doing here. So this one is really simple. It goes search for the recipients where the user the user and the recipient is the user that I'm logged in as, and so we do one scan of one table and we pick up all the records for that user. And so this is simple, performant, easy to put privacy rules on, because basically we'll just say privacy rule is you can only see recipients that you are the user for. In summary, this won't work and can't be extended. This will work, but will have performance issues, and it's complex. And this is simple, and it's kind of simple and performant. So in order to make this work, we just needed to reintroduce the concept of recipient, which you had in the original design, and this recipient gets populated. If you remember in our back-end workflows, we've got user exists and user doesn't exist, and we just create a recipient here and we create a recipient here. So we're storing in two places in the database who a record is connected to. We're storing it as a list on here, as a list of users, and we're doing it here as well. You probably only need to store it in one place, but often in Bubble it's quite handy to store things in two places because of limitations of the queries. I suspect in time this will disappear, this field, but I haven't fully tested it through because I'm possibly not 100% sure about what you're trying to do on this UI here, but I'm pretty sure the receive records and send records seems pretty straightforward. So I've added this create a new recipient. My suggestion would be just to make our life a lot easier, just delete these extra tables. Just delete them here, drop them here, drop. And then clear out all the data and create a new data set, and just so we can test everything's working and put all the privacy rules back. The last thing you want is someone being able to inspect all of your records full of sort of kind of secret stuff of who owes who money and so on. So I hope that makes sense. It's at this stage in the build of an app, we're basically, one thing we're doing is we're testing if the database design is correct, and by virtue of the fact of having to go through those hoops that you were trying to do to get the UI to work, the database design was not correct. So it's very easy we can easily add in this recipients table back into the design. I'll stop warbling on. Hope that helps.